Hello, students. Today we will be learning about transportation. That is the third life process which is important for an organism to be alive. Firstly, what is transportation? Transportation is the movement of water and essential nutrients required for all metabolic activities and also the waste material for excretion. You know, all living organisms need few necessary components like air, water, and food for survival. These required elements should be transported to every body cells and tissues. And for that, there is a special system that is called transportation system. Transportation in human is done by circulatory system, which consists of heart, blood, and blood vessels. We need a special pumping organ to push blood to our body and network of tubes to reach all the tissues. And for that, heart is the pumping organ which will push blood to our body, and blood vessels, arteries and veins are the network tubes which will supply all the necessary elements to each and every part of this cell. Now, our pump, the heart. It is a muscular organ, I think, of a fist sized and located near the chest, slightly tilted towards the left side. That's why we all feel the heartbeat towards the left side of our chest. And it is the main pumping organ. And it is divided into four chambers. Uh, to to prevent mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Now this one is the oxygenated blood and this one blue colored is the deoxygenated blood. Upper two chambers, they are the atria. This one is left atrium and this one is right atrium. And the lower two chambers called ventricles. This one is left ventricle and this one is right ventricle. And our heart is divided by a special wall that is called septum. This one is the superior vena cava. This collects deoxygenated blood from all parts of the body and bring it to the right atrium, and this one is the inferior vena cava. It also brings blood to the right atrium, deoxygenated blood to the right atrium. And this one is the pulmonary artery. This pulmonary artery takes away the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for purification. And this one is the pulmonary vein. This pulmonary vein will bring oxygenated blood from lungs to the left atrium. And this is the aorta. This aorta will take away the blood, oxygenated blood, and supply it to different parts of our body. Now there is the steps for the flow of blood through the heart. So we will learn it step by step as it will be easier for you all to remember. And the question may come in examination for this one to write the mechanism of the heart. So in first step, lungs supply oxygen rich blood to the left atrium of the heart. Now from lungs, pure oxygenated blood comes into left atrium through the pulmonary veins. This one is the first step. Now remember, in first step, oxygenated blood, oxygen rich blood is supplied by pulmonary veins from lungs to the left atrium of the heart. Number 2, the left atrium relaxes when it is collecting the blood and contracts when the blood is transferred to the left ventricle. Now, when the blood comes inside the left atrium, this left atrium will relax. It will remain loose. And after collecting blood, here it is, okay, in every chamber there is a channel, or it is called valve, which allows the blood to flow from one chamber to another chamber, one chamber to another chamber. So as soon as the oxygenated blood from the lungs comes into left atrium through the pulmonary veins, this left atrium, it relaxes, and now the blood is to pass to the left ventricle. At that time it will contract, means it will become tight, and it will release the blood to the left ventricle, and with the help of this valve the blood will not flow back to the left atrium. Now the left ventricle expands when it receives blood. Now as soon as this contracts and supply blood to the left ventricle, now the left ventricle also will relax and receive the blood from left atrium. And now this third step, left ventricle contracts and the blood is pumped out of the blood. Now from here, left ventricle, now it will contract and supply the blood through aorta to different parts of our body. Now fourth step, deoxygenated blood comes from the body to the right atrium and it expands. Now the carbon dioxide rich blood or the deoxygenated blood, it comes from different parts of the body to the right atrium. Now the right atrium will expand and again it will release blood to the deoxygenated blood to the right ventricle. The right atrium contracts and transfers blood to the right ventricles, which expands and pump blood to the lungs for oxygenation. Now, as soon as the deoxygenated blood enters the right atrium relaxes to receive the blood. Now, it now contracts and release the blood to the right ventricle. At that time, right ventricle will relax, and now right ventricle will contract and push the deoxygenated blood through pulmonary arteries to lungs to purify it, to make it oxygen rich. These ventricles have thick muscular wall than this atrium, because they have to pump blood. And next is the valve are the opening present over here. These valves are present here to ensure that the blood does not flow backward when the atria and ventricles they contract. Now the function of the valve is to check the flow of the blood. The blood flows only in one direction, from lungs to left atrium, then to left ventricle, then to different parts of the body, from different parts of the body to the right atrium, and then to right ventricle and to the lungs for purification.